Okay, consider the curve given by this equation. So I remember, this curve, this equation is how I find points on a curve. This is the equation for finding the slope anywhere on that curve. Find all coordinates of all points on the curve at which the line tangent is vertical. Okay, so I don't have this on the golden notes. We have talked about it briefly this year. It's not a heavily tested concept, but it shows up once in a while, obviously. Okay, the slope of a line is vertical whenever the slope of the line ends up being some number, basically any value, divided by 0. So to determine, so that means the curve has a vertical slope the curve has a vertical slope when the denominator 3y squared minus x is equal to 0. So I'm trying to figure out where that will equal 0. You don't have to have the words, but you do have to show the grader that you're looking for this to occur. If you have that red box, they'll give you 1 point. Okay, obviously, one equation, 2 unknowns can't be solved. This has shown up on other FRQs that we've practiced. So I've got to somehow use this information. The quickest thing to do, it appears, is to say, well, that means x has to equal 3y squared. I simply moved the x to this side of the equation, so I get this new equation. This is the equation for finding points on the curve. So what I want to do is take that equation, so y cubed minus xy equal 2. And I want to, I know that the only place where the curve can have a vertical slope will be whenever x is equal to 3y squared. So I'm going to replace x with 3y squared. So I end up with y cubed minus, plug in the x. Now remember, this is one where I could see myself perhaps getting stuck. If you should solve every problem by writing, not thinking. You think and write. So you're thinking and writing, that means you're making progress. The instant you stop writing, that means you're stuck, you should move on. Because as I pointed out in the quiz 3 I sent out last week, based on previous scoring, all you need is like 12 points, 15 points, or 18 points to get a 3, 4, or a 5. You need to keep pushing yourself to do better than that because we don't know exactly how they'll score this test, but these are good starting points. So never getting stuck is really crucial. You want to keep getting points, don't ever get stuck. So now I have y cubed minus 3y cubed is equal to 2, which means I've got 1y cubed minus 3y cubed, so I've got negative 2. Y cubed is equal to 2. If you divide both sides by negative 2, you're going to get y cubed is equal to negative 1, which means the y coordinate is negative 1. So that's the y coordinate where the tangent slope is going to be vertical. Now I need to find the x coordinate that goes with that y. So I go back to Well, I have a simpler place. No, we better use this because we want to make sure we find the point that is on the curve. So I'm going to use the equation for the curve. I'm going to plug in that y-coordinate. So I get, let's write it out again one more time. So the equation for the curve is the y cubed minus xy equals 2. And we're going to plug into that equation our y equal negative 1. So this is going to be negative 1 plus x equals 2. Subtract the negative 1 across. Actually add 1 to both sides, sorry. And you get x equal 3. Which means the point where this curve, so I figured it out now. The curve, I need to write my answer. The curve has a vertical tangent at x equal 3, comma, y equal negative 1. The way they give points for this problem, as I said earlier, you got 1 point up here for recognizing that the tangent slope will be vertical when the denominator of the slope equation is equal to 0. So that was this point here. They gave a second point. Basically, if you are able to take and make this substitution into this equation. So this equation, right, that's a backwards check mark. That's terrible. So this equation right here was worth a point. This one right here. And then as long as you go on and find the correct final answer, you have to list it as a coordinate point. That would be worth 1 more point, for a total of 3 points.